We live out here. What's up, Sam?
Yo.
So, how's it going, audience? For those that don't know, this is the season finale.
Let's go. Final first chapter.
Yes, of the Trauma podcast. So that's good. It's like fucking 80 degrees outside in Seattle.
It's warm. It's warm.
It's beautiful. Summer's upon us. Golf season is in full throttle.
Full force.
Life's pretty good.
Yeah.
Life's pretty good. So just as a heads up, in the after church special today, we're actually going to deviate a little bit, given it's the finale. I think it makes sense for us to do a little reflection on just kind of like what it was like for us. Maybe we'll give out a couple like, this is what we learned from doing a podcast, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as all good finales are kind of built together, let's just kind of revisit from day one the overall messaging, but really put a nice, neat stamp on like what do we want people to walk away with.
Yeah.
These are just thoughts that we're going to offer up to you guys. Do with them what you will.
Yeah.
But just after the journey that we've been on, the kind of like the few golden nuggets that we know we're going to walk away with.
Yeah.
Any thoughts before we start?
No, I mean it's been a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine it was a little bit. I would imagine it's less of a departure for you just because like you speak for a living, right, on a stage, and that's kind of what you do.
Yeah.
This felt pretty. Was it pretty comfortable for you, or was this like weird?
No, it's different. I mean, anytime. Well, first of all, I value our relationship. I value where we've been, where you've been, and how we interact. So putting it in a public forum, it's different.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
But hopefully, I mean, it's always challenging. I mean, I love that you always poke. I love that you're always asking questions. You're in a lot of ways you're a sponge wanting to know truth, and so it's always challenging for me. Like, dude, do I really believe in this? Like, is it just jargon that I'm throwing at you, or is this something that I need to really absorb and really understand?
Right.
And so it's a good challenge. It's been really you're wild. You're wild.
I don't. There's definitely a wilder out there, but I'm wilder than others.
Oh
as
yeah,
well,
I love it though. You're my boy.
No, I appreciate that, man. And I hope other pastors, if there are listeners that are pastors, can kind of relate to that. I think we could use a little bit more of that, which is being open-minded, being more curious and less judgmental. Hashtag Ted Lasso. Or just being less authoritative about stuff, I think, would just invite a little bit more connection.
Right.
But in any case, okay, so we roll the tape back. This was all about just the fact that I grew up in the church. I was deeply dedicated to the church. And eventually was like, fuck it. I just hit the fuck it button eventually. It was like, I'm going to hit eject. I'm going to do me. And I got to a point though where I realized I can't deny the reality of God and the legitimacy of Christianity personally.
Yeah.
But that version of church wasn't going to do it. So then you and I connected. Let's talk through this. The way out is through. Let's go systematically and itemize this shit, and we're going to tackle it and be real about it.
Yeah.
And so from going from a place of just being hurt to a place of gleaning insights, hopefully soaking up some wisdom, coming to some conclusions.
Yeah.
All that said, now I'm trying to think like, okay, what are the ultimate digestible takeaways for people?
Yeah.
And so let's just have like kind of like a back and forth of like, okay, gang, if you guys have been riding with us for this long, fuck yeah, thank you. But also just giving them some really like easy to nibble on things of like, this is do's and don'ts almost. You know those videos?
Yeah.
10 do's, 5 don'ts, that type of shit. And we'll just kind of jam off of that. Cool?
Yeah, cool.
All right, so I'll start. So I think first off, listeners, if you are either going to church for the first time, you've been hurt, you're going back, or you're going now. Probably my biggest thing that I would encourage you guys to do is think for yourself. Said otherwise, fuck group think. Right? Group think. This idea that because I'm a part of this body, in order for me to be a legitimate member of this body, I need to subscribe to X, Y, or Z. I need to obey to X, Y, or Z. And I understand the value of it, but at the end of the day, the hardest thing for me was when I was alone in bed at night or whatever, in line waiting for my food order, when nobody else was around me. I wasn't very confident about believing all the shit that I said I believed in when I was in church.
Right.
And so I just felt like a fake, a fraud, imposter syndrome, all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, I didn't understand it to a level where I could apply it to my personal life.
Right.
And so I'll repeat all that to say, think for yourself, question things, but make sure that you don't got to agree with what's being said, but seek to understand where they're coming from, seek to understand what's being said.
That's good.
And then make the call for yourself.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think we have enough people that they follow aimlessly without really understanding what they're following.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's devastating if you look at the long haul of just like what that can do.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there's a lot that I would love to unpack with that. But I think the beauty in being able to question for yourself is your faith becomes your faith,
Right.
and God becomes real to you,
Right.
with you and for you, and then you get to share that piece with the whole, with the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would say in that, as you seek truth, you know, make sure that there's a source to it. It's not just I'm going to create God in my own image, right? But really understand the God that you are seeking to know and where it's coming from. Right, find the source of this truth. Right, just like if a pastor's preaching out of his, you know, there's got to be a source of truth that it's coming from. Right, and so that's kind of where I would encourage people to say, look, find truth for yourself. Right. And then allow the community to be able to be a part of that journey, and you being a part of theirs. And so
and in all fairness, I've definitely been to churches where pastors would consistently, I'm sure you've said this before, but don't take my word for it. You got a Bible in your hands. Go home, do the
100%.
work, read.
100%. Right? You got to do the work yourself too.
I mean, I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. But it also feels like one of those like allergy commercials at the very end. Please make sure to, you know what I'm saying? It kind of feels like that, where it's a little scapegoat. It should be like, but I understand the heart of it.
Yeah.
But I will honestly say though, it's like, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't have the answer to this. It would be nice to find like a nice medium.
Yeah.
Because I said this last episode. I don't want to have to become a fucking theologian mixed with a historian mixed with a fucking literature. You know what I'm saying? To be a Christian.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a quick like 1B here just because it's connected.
Yeah.
I encourage people, be fucking practical about your religion, about your beliefs. For me, it was anti-practical, and what I mean by that is there was nothing I could take from my church experiences and really apply at home or from Monday to Saturday, or it would be very difficult for me to apply a concept or a verse or whatever to my life, which resulted in just stagnation. Right? I come in for the performance.
Right.
You were either speaking well or not that day, and I felt good about it. And then I just go back to business as usual. Right. Versus like being very clear about, I'm going to do this differently in this situation.
Right.
Or this means in my life in this area I need to apply X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Because for me now, I just know if I can't really apply it, it's going to go in one ear and out the other.
Right.
Because people learn. I learn by doing, not less by just hearing and reading. Like I got to do something to really experience and learn it.
Sure.
So just the practical aspects.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I think part of the thing that I would probably challenge you in is you may not get pastors and leaders that will say this is what you should do, but this is how you should respond. If a good word is given, you know, like they're really, you know, going at the word and dissecting and having good stuff, it may take time for you to have that personal time and just say, what did I draw out of it that I can apply it to my own life and my own circumstances?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The application may be up to you a little bit.
True.
And not just solely dependent on the other or the leader or the pastor.
No, that's totally fair, because the opposite of what I'm going at is you don't want to be the person that's that guy that's just not really looking to do any work, but just wants the answers.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Because even if your pastor does give you an answer, who's to say that it's the right answer for you in the season you're in? Right. So it's like it's that balance of like be practical about what you're learning, but don't go looking for a manual on how to live life, because that's not how it's done. Right. It's just kind of you got to live it on your own terms to some degree and learn on your own. Yeah. All right, that was one or two for me. You got any?
I think through this journey, I've learned I have heard so many people resonate with what you've been through, right? And one of the things that I've heard over and over again were people saying, I feel like I didn't have the space to be able to express that, to be able to tap into that, because they were afraid of, you know, judgment from people, from God. Like they just weren't able to really just say, I've experienced this and I've been hurt, right? If for those who have been on this journey with us, hopefully you've been encouraged enough to say, I want to be able to deal with my hurt by being able to express that I have been hurt. And that there are people out there who will give you the space to do that. If not, I mean, hit us up.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to acknowledge the hurt that you have dealt with, because it's the whole idea of God being present in our everyday life, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
The joyful noises as well as the painful stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would want to encourage. Like, you're not alone. You should never feel like your pain is just you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I want to be able to validate people's hurts, but also be able to encourage people. There is a journey for you into finding healing.
Yeah.
You know, to finding this place where you could challenge, wrestle through, and then, you know, discover a little bit more of who you are and God in this process, right?
I like that.
And so hopefully people will have the space and the freedom to say, I want to deal with this.
Yeah.
I want to confront some stuff, you know, and I want to fight through this. I want to overcome some stuff. You know?
I love it. So if I were to repeat that and distill it, you're saying takeaway number 2 is communicate and express the traumas that you
right,
have.
100%.
Don't get stuck in that place, because you know you can end up just bitching for days and days and days, and misery loves company and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But we don't want to swing too far the other side, right? Which is the Asian way: sweep it under the rug.
Come on, yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that. I'll toss another one out here. I would recommend people. This is especially applicable to me or people out there that consider themselves emotional as fuck. Be careful with your emotions.
It's
Be
true.
careful, okay? Let me start by this. Emotions are they're what makes us human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love that I'm emotional. We live for emotion. That, you know, being happy with friends, being scared of shit in a scary movie, laughing your ass, whatever, right? It's a human experience. The problem for me was I didn't really seek to understand my emotions. I let my emotions dictate my understanding.
It carried you, yeah.
Oh, that sounded kind of fire. Wait, I didn't seek to understand my emotions. I let my emotions dictate my understanding. That sounds like a pastor one-liner, don't it?
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
Cheers.
Shit. But what I'm getting at there is this. Right? It's hard to understand. Like, we all feel shit. A stimulus happens. Someone cut you off on the highway. Someone says something slick at church. Your mom said whatever, right? Something happens. Stimulus happens. You process it and then you react. The problem is, for me and most people, I would let emotions be indicative. So I would hear something at church or up here say something, and if it made me feel guilty, I would say that means you're guilty because you are a bad person. You know, it would be indicative. I would judge myself based on emotions I'm feeling.
Right.
Which is not accurate, because your emotions are really I think of them as like fucking programs that got developed over your years of life based on your environment, your experiences, your relationships. And so a lot of that is fickle and false, right? A lot of times you might be feeling guilty when there's no reason for you to be feeling guilty, right? And so I think I would have been better served if I sat in my emotion and embraced it, but then sought to understand why I was feeling that way versus jumping already to, well, you're feeling this because you're X or Y. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it'll make sense if people are just tuning in for the first time. You are one that has been consumed by guilt. I am bad. I am this type of person.
Right.
I am. You know, you let your mistakes be your identity.
Yes.
What makes you you. And so you've always struggled with that. Like not being
100%.
good enough.
100%.
You know, being a failure, not
Yes.
being athletic. That's been your narrative. And so I think that's what you mean by not letting your emotions dictate, you know, who you are or what you do, right? But to really assess, like, why am I feeling this way? You know? So you draw out the good and you trash the bad. I mean, that's basically what it is.
No, for sure. No, that 100%. I'll also add, though, it can go the other way. Sometimes I would hear a pastor drop a fire one-liner and they're just, oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Right? And that emotion of...
it makes us feel good.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
I'm hyping y'all up on the stage.
Yeah.
You guys are feeling yourself. You're feeling the energy of the crowd.
Yeah. Help me. Yeah.
But at what point in that hype did I ever sit and say, am I actually agreeing with what's being said, or did that just sound good like a fucking like rap bar? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's the other way too, where it's like sometimes I would hear things that are super make me feel positive or happy without really. Well, why am I feeling positive and happy?
Yeah.
And that led me to jump to certain conclusions that weren't really healthy or accurate.
Sure.
So both ways, absolutely.
Get some depth to you.
Yeah. Depth. I like that.
Yeah.
You go next.
Yeah, I think another thing that I would encourage people, be intentional on your journey. So I want to emphasize direction over destination. So in other words, I think when we think about being Christian, we just think that that's it. You know, that's the destination point. Like you got it, you good, that's it. But I think in our journey of spirituality and God and discovering ourselves, it's a directional journey, right? You're going somewhere. But I would say a lot of times people dismiss that and just get complacent and just stay where they're at. They just want to itch and moan about everything else that's been going on. But take ownership, be intentional about where you're at, where you're going, right? Have people around you to really encourage you and advocate for you as you do that. Because ultimately, even as we do this, you have great people around you. You got Choi and Ray. Ray, man, he's just like, look, what are we doing? Where are we going on Sunday?
Young Dragon.
You know what I mean? Where sometimes you're like, oh, this sounds good, so let's just kick it here for a little bit. But Ray's like, we got to go somewhere. We got to make some things happen.
Yo, that Chinese boy like to hustle. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. He's up there. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I get what you're saying. And I think intention is so important, but also like it's directional.
Yeah.
So I'm type A as fuck, right? So I remember being like, okay, like literally talking. Even you at some point, like, what is the roadmap here on the milestones? I gotta do this, and then I get 5 points of faith, and I get 3 points of obedience, and then I get to heaven at that point, right? But it's not that. Think about like when you work out. When I first worked out, my intention was simple. I don't want to look like this anymore, right? It's not precise, it's fucking murky, and it's directional. I just don't want to look like this. I don't feel like shit. I don't want to look like shit.
Yeah.
But then over time, as you get to the gym, then you go, okay, now that I'm starting to learn certain things, my intention is now cardio and not muscle bulking, right? Or it might be, I don't know, I want to work on my chest and not my legs.
Sure.
And so I think it's like, as your journey matures, your intention will get refined over time. Right?
That's great. Great way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay. I like that because I think people that grow up in the church, if we're not intentional, we're existing aimlessly in the ecosystem that we've been brought up in, and we stagnate.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And take small steps. Like you don't have to make leaps and bounds of like committing to this or. My favorite is when like you go after like a retreat and everyone is saying I'm gonna read a chapter of the Bible every day.
Oh yeah.
And that lasts about 22 seconds before you're like that's a long chapter.
I feel personally attacked right now.
You do. But that's why I'm just like, take small steps. It's okay. You're going at a good direction.
Yeah, I got you.
And so allow yourself to receive that grace, to take those steps, because you're still taking steps in the right direction, which is what we want to go.
I mean, I love how simple that is because that applies to anything you want to get done in this world.
Yeah, anything.
Have intention, have patience, baby steps.
Yeah.
Okay. We're about to hit the after church special. Like I said, we're gonna switch it up. We actually have some questions that were submitted, and we're gonna do some just live questions about the podcast, our experience, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
yeah.
All right. See you guys there.
Cool.
Bye. All right. We are in the season finale version of After Church Special. Let's go. Okay, so what we've done, we've collected some questions from our beautiful listeners, and our production team is just going to kind of ring them off. You and I are going to field them. We want to keep this segment, 15 minutes max, so let's try to keep it brief, but spicy.
Man, that's on you.
I know, that's you right.
Yep.
All right, so hit us, guys. How or why did we start this podcast? You want to go or me? Me? How or why? How? So funny enough, I gotta keep this brief. Sam and I, so we've been in a mentoring relationship. We just talked about this like maybe almost 10 years now.
Almost 10, yeah.
And so it was actually, I've been talking to him about this idea of doing a podcast with him because I think I brought this up in a previous episode. You and I would talk, have real ass conversations. And when I would share little tidbits with my friends that are in a similar demographic as me, they'd be like, wait, a pastor's going to talk to you about that shit? Or they said what? Or you said what in front of them? And so I just wanted to extend what you and I had to other people to start off with.
Right.
But then two, I just wanted to do shit. Like personally, man, I was like in a rut in life and work, and I was just talking and thinking about literally how many outlines did I send you about a podcast that we could do together?
God, yeah.
And all of that for nothing. So I was like, hit the fuck it button. Let's just go and see what happens. We're going to wing it.
Right.
And I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
So that's the how and why.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
I mean, that's pretty much how it went down. I think it was just, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't exactly like all in because I think it was just more like, why would people care about what we talk about? Why would people care about, you know, like what you're going through and how that, you know, affects them? But I'm glad we did it. And I think, I mean, basically, it literally is taking our mentorship sessions and just putting it for the public to hear. And so
exactly
that's kind of how it would happen.
All right. Next question.
Would you recommend anyone else is doing it? The podcast? Do you guys enjoy it?
You go first on this one. Would you recommend someone else doing a podcast?
I mean, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what it means to be a quote unquote podcaster. I mean, my role in this is just to be present, right? And so I don't really know the ins and outs. Like, we have an amazing production team, I mean, you're coming up with the with all the content, you know, what we're gonna talk about, and I'm just kind of just sharing my thoughts, you know. So I think my part in it is pretty minimal, which I feel really blessed and you know, grateful for. But I think that's more on you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. One thing I learned, right? Like, if you want to do yes. If you're thinking about doing it, I recommend you fucking do it, because what do you have to lose, right? Like, stakes are a lot smaller than people think they are, and it's just be about it, stop talking about it, and see what happens, right? That's just kind of like my mantra in life right now. But I will say, if you don't like to talk, you're gonna have some problems.
Oh yeah.
Well, just, I don't know, because I know some people that have great ideas and insights, but they fucking hate talking. So it's like, they probably wouldn't be great, but their brain would be great for it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, if you're thinking about it, highly recommend. All right, what else we got?
Why is trauma spelled with a CH?
Do you know why trauma is spelled with a CH?
I know why. I mean, I mean, that's.
Wait, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, it's church trauma, like church trauma with a T. You know.
Church. Yeah. So CH church trauma. You combine those two, you get trauma.
Yeah. I remember when you first was like, hey, it's trauma. When you pitched it, I was like, that's stupid. But then when you spelt it out, I was like, oh damn, that hits.
Wait a minute. Do you not know the other reason it's called trauma?
No. There's another reason?
So you take church and you trauma, and you get trauma, right? And then if you take Choi and trauma, because it was like personal to you don't approve, but literally one of my best friends was like, dude, I was high one night listening to your fucking podcast, and it hit me that trauma's also about your fucking personal traumas too. So, fun fact. I guess he didn't know, but I knew. Next question, please. Is Pastor Sam married? Does he lead right now?
Oh, what church does?
Oh, okay. So, what church does Sam lead right now, and is he married? So we'll start with the first one.
Yeah, currently not leading a church right now.
Okay.
Spending the time to do a lot of self-reflection, doing a lot of just self-discovery, and really maybe even reimagining what it means to be the church instead of going to church.
I like it.
So doing a lot of that, and then I don't know why being married matters, but yeah, I am married to an amazing woman.
Yeah, you thirsties out there. He married as fuck, so let's just get that out the way.
Man.
And she don't play.
No, she's boss. She don't mess around.
But back to the first thing. So, I mean, I guess you could describe. I mean, I feel like not a lot of people know what the career of a pastor kind of looks like, or the career arc.
Yeah.
So it sounds like an active off season.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like you're not fucking chilling on the beach. You're hitting the fucking weight room in the off season. Just that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I was at a point where like maybe I should, to use your analogy, retire. Yeah. Try something else.
Yeah.
You know. But. Yeah, we're gonna explore. We're gonna see what this means.
But his love for the game is too strong. All right, next question.
Why Daniel?
Man, I think out of
wait. Why Daniel? No other context. Just why Daniel?
Why Daniel?
The funny thing is, I know what that question means. I know.
What does it mean?
I know. Yeah, I think that is like the number one question when people hear the podcast and they see me. They're like, "Hold up, Daniel? That's hella random."
Okay.
But I don't know if people know that we've been in...
I'm not getting defensive. I'm not getting defensive at all.
I don't know if people know that we've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
Facts.
And so I meant it when I said so many years ago that, you know, we're going to do life together. Like, I'm in it with you.
Yeah.
You know? And I meant that. And so, and we've had a lot of overlap in our stories. You've been through a lot. where I got to be with, and you're always one of my number one advocates. But I think the reasons why I did this with you is one, I want to see you. I want to see you really thrive. I want to see you really come up. I want you to be able to say, look, this is my life. This is what I believe in. This is where I'm going.
Yep.
And this is just a continuation of the journey that we've been on, you know? And so, don't get me wrong. I mean, you're raw, unfiltered. A lot of the things that you say, I'm just like, you know, but, you know what I mean? But you're my boy and I love you and I'm going to continue to do life with you. And so, I mean, that's why, you know?
I love it. If whoever asked that question, we got issues. We got issues.
Yeah.
2 more. All right, hit us.
How do you feel about a virtual church? Would you join one? Any plans to start a church?
How do you feel about a virtual church? Would you join one? All right, and we need to wrap this up a little bit. So give us your quick, concise. Let's do one. What are your thoughts on virtual church?
Virtual church, I'm not for.
You're not for.
I'm not for. I mean, if you got to use technology to, you know, to connect because you're in different parts of the world, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But nothing beats this interaction. This to me is what it means to be in communion, right? Like this, like, you know.
But there's also some balancing of like, reality is what it is. We're at where we're at. So it's like this innovative stage, right? Where it's like, I think about it like companies are like, you know, are you going to do all remote or are you going to do all you got to come into the office? Everyone's answer, we're going to be hybrid. So it kind of sounds like you're in that camp.
Yeah, I mean, as things open up and as, you know, we overcome this coronavirus and get into a healthier, better place, then yeah, I mean, I'm down with the hybrid in the sense of like, if we can't meet, we can't meet, right? I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna break the law, but if we are able to meet and we are able to connect, that's what I want to do. I want you to sit at my house. I want you to be able to. We want to do life truly together.
I like that.
You know,
I like that. The part B to that question is, would you guys start a church or a virtual church? I've been fucking planting the seed, so if y'all want to hit them with the DMs, the comments, the whatever, go do that because I'm waiting.
No.
All right, last question.
Yeah, what's next for trauma?
What is next for trauma?
I mean, that's on you.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, guys. It's a good question. Like, we've been working hard 10 weeks straight, and we're just gonna, you know, we have this finale. We're gonna decompress as a team, debrief, see. Do we want to continue doing this? Do we want to do something different? So I can't commit or deny anything right now. Because the last thing I want this to be is just like forced content for the sake of having content. Yeah. So I would say TBD, but stay tuned just because I can't stay too inactive for too long. But as far as like a Trauma Season 2 or anything like that, all TBD at the moment, but we'll let you guys know as soon as we do.
Yep.
Anything you want to add?
Nope. Sounds good.
All right, back to the show. All right, and we back just like that. Thanks for the questions. That was fun.
That was cool.
It was a little different.
Yeah. Why Daniel?
Why Daniel? And you fucking knew, man. You fucking knew. All right, so continuing on this theme of like, all right, let's put a bow on this journey. What do we want people to walk away with? Closing thoughts. I'm actually going to throw out one I feel pretty strongly about. I wrote it down here. I encourage everybody, fight religion, but fight for spirituality and connection. What I mean by that, like religion to me, in the way that I experienced it, it was just so legalistic. It was all about like the ceremony and the do's and do nots and this and that. And for me, it was so much about that and less about the actual authentic bonds I had with my people, with God, with my personal thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So I would say just really, honestly, I might be as bold to say, weight value such that it's on the lowest end of the spectrum, honestly, for me, is the religion part of it, but the spirituality, knowing there's something greater, knowing that there is an all-seeing God and having a relationship with Him, weighting that way heavier.
Yeah. And I would add, like, if you're going to really go on this quest for truth, like really find out like who is God, you know, and what does it mean to be in relationship with God, you know. Like I said before, the great danger is creating God into your own image.
Right.
And so you really want to be able to, on that quest of you're overcoming your church trauma,
Right.
you know, your hurts, your wounds,
Right.
to really just find out for yourself, like,
Yeah.
who is this God that you really are living with and living
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to be in relationship with this God, to be in communion with this God? You know?
Let me ask something real quick, because you mentioned this earlier. I've heard you say it before, and I know a lot of other pastors have the same similar concern.
Mm-hmm.
The phrase "be careful not to create your own God,"
Mm-hmm.
right? I've heard
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm getting from that is like, well, dude, like, yeah, God isn't some genie, right?
Uh-huh.
God is a literal entity that has existed before time itself.
Yeah.
And so there is reality and objectivity to what he is and all that kind of stuff that you can't just fucking go in and edit, right? Based on your convenience and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well said.
So I get that, but I guess, is it possible to create your own God and do it by trial and error? So what I mean by that is, like, let's say I create my own God and I instill some thought into my head, like God only values the rich, for example. Stupid example.
Yeah. Yeah.
My thought is, like, I always go back to the idea, God doesn't need nobody to defend him, right? And so as long as people are truly honest with themselves, I honestly believe you will find your way to God because he's real.
Sure.
So in that example, I put into my head, I create my own God and say, God only really values those that are super successful financially. If I were to subscribe to that idea and I'm honest with myself, I know I would come to a not content and unhappy destination because that would make me feel like shit. It just wouldn't sit right with me, so on and so forth. So I guess what I'm really getting at is, can we lean on like grace from God and just being authentic and arriving at God versus being kind of funneled to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think you got to know where your source comes from. Like if you believe God is, you know, like for the rich example, he only loves the rich or values the rich over others, where does that come from? Like, where did you get that premise?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that idea, right? It stems from something.
Yeah.
You got to have something to pull from.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think my great fear for people is, one, and some of this is personal, in that I've had friends join horrendous cults because they followed this dude that said, I heard from God and this is what God says.
Right.
Because they created this God into their own image and they've fallen into this. And I'm like, no. You got to have a source. You got to have a foundation as to where that came from. Otherwise, that's where more people get hurt.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does, and you should also create your own criteria for your boundaries, right? Well, cross certain lines, you say, okay, I'm not comfortable with this, or this isn't sitting well over there, and moving in that.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that one. Anything else you got?
Let me see. I wrote down a couple things.
Oh, you
But
did?
I think we touched on a lot of it. Is, identity is about what gives you value and where you belong, right?
Okay.
If you really, it's not just what am I good at, or all this other stuff that that's like the external layer.
Yeah.
But if we were to really peel that onion, at the core of identity, it's about what gives you value, how do you know you matter, and where do you belong, like where your people lie. You know what I mean? And I think part of identity is a quest that everyone has to go on. It's not just. So I mean, you've heard me say that the journey of identity is about self-discovery that allows yourself to see yourself the way that God, being creator, has created you to be.
Okay.
And so you have this moment as you grow on in life, as you walk through different circumstances and experiences, that you're able to see yourself. Because I think the hardship is, a lot of people in our Christianity would say, I know God loves me, but I don't love myself, right? And I think part of the spirituality of our faith journey is really valuing who you are.
Yeah.
And so I would say, on your journey through your church trauma and all this other stuff, really go on that quest to find who you are, find what gives you value, find where you belong, because ultimately we want to know that we are so loved, that you matter, that you are valued, right? But that comes when you are intentionally just saying, I don't want to just know about God.
Yeah.
I want to know God
Yeah.
so that I can ultimately then really discover who I am. And then
Okay.
there's like this deep swag in you that says we can move forward.
Right. Okay. So simplify. You're saying your takeaway is you're encouraging people to go on that journey of identity.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I like that.
Yeah.
One. I like that one.
Yeah.
I'll throw another one. Beware of the placebo effect. All right. Everybody knows what the fucking placebo effect is. We've all been to that retreat. Night 3, for whatever reason, the worship band is just fucking hitting, right? They're hitting the notes, they're hitting the harmonies, something's in the air. Oh my God, this is different this time, Sam.
Yeah.
This retreat is where I changed my life.
Yeah.
I love where that's coming from. I love the desire, the intent there.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. You are in an intoxicated environment. We're not talking about alcohol. We're not talking about hard drugs. But we're talking about some kind of high. And so I just want people to be like cognizant of that. Like making decisions when you're emotional, whether they're good or bad emotions, is usually not a good thing.
Yeah.
And so just be aware of the placebo.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
Another thing that popped in my head, similar to kind of ties a lot of what we said earlier, but when I think about God, God is real, and He is at the top of the hierarchy. It's all good. He's at the top of the hierarchy, and so I think I would have been better served if I sought out the God that exists outside. Like, I felt like every church I went to, I had to view and access God through the lens or through the conduit of that church. Versus, no. This is the same God everyone's worshiping, and you have access to this guy outside of any four walls. There is a reality and a principle and love from this entity that exists outside of any of these churches. I just think I would have looked at it a little differently.
Yeah.
Because really, churches are there are the workers or employees or organizations for God. But a lot of times, a company can be real shitty where like the CEO is a great person. You know what I'm saying? And that happens just because we're humans.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's just. Yeah. I mean, I think if we were to reimagine the church, I think we touched on it before. It's become more of a brand name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we become overly hyped about, hey, what church you go to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's your brand. Like that's your that's your badge.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
And it's like, no, we're the people of God together. And so sometimes we create these lines, and it's like, I thought we were on the same team.
No, exactly. That's why when I wasn't going to church, I felt like I was learning more about God because I didn't have any biased agendas or anything. It's just me and myself and I.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Another thing I'll say as a takeaway: if y'all grow up in the church and aren't going now, how much respect do you have for our fucking moms? I remember people going hard body before like buffets or I'm talking about fucking self like given slavery, like chopping up fucking boats of kimchi and wrapping fried chicken and you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't doing that shit. Like,
I know you're not.
I'm not doing that shit. So salute to you guys because they fucking tried.
Yeah.
Like, we got to give them that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They tried.
For sure.
I'm trying to think if there's any other closing ones.
Yeah.
Any lighter ones, I guess? Because it could be either way. It could be a do or a don't.
Yeah. I mean, my big thing is have people around you that advocate for you. You know, like it's important that you have people that
without having a yes man though. Right.
Bingo. Right. Yeah. Not just like do what you want to do. You gotta have good people that are willing to challenge you.
Yeah.
And you gotta be open to people to receive some of those challenges to say, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just hella bitter right now, and I've been here for about 4 years.
Yeah.
I gotta start doing something. Surround yourself with people that are really gonna advocate for you.
Yeah.
That are really speaking to you.
Yeah.
And if you need to get like deeper help, like you need to go see a therapist, go see a therapist. Yeah. I have it'll do wonders for you.
Yeah.
But you need to have the right people around you.
I like that.
You know.
Set yourself up to succeed.
That would be a huge thing. You know, we're made to be in community, so access that community.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I love it.
You ain't alone.
I love it. All right. I'll have a last one for me at least. I guess the biggest thing is this, guys. Well, one, if you feel guilty about that frickin' tithing basket coming around. I'm right there with you. No, I would say, man, if I really, really embraced the fact that life is lived outside of church from Monday to Saturday, I think that would have changed everything for me too. So I guess that's my last one for me. Guys, understand that your actual life, your actual real relationships and your tribulations and the events and activities and circumstances, they happen outside of the church. So just make sure that, I guess you're just tending to it accordingly.
Yeah.
Like 98% of my efforts and energies around church, it was just all on Sunday about the people on Sunday.
Yeah.
When I had a job and I have some best friends and I have a girlfriend and I have a family, all that kind of shit, you know? So just, I'm not saying completely scrap Sunday. Like Sunday and church service and church as a structure and organization is there for a reason. But I think it's there to really help you live the majority of your life, which is like away from that. So
yeah. Not the Sunday Christian, but the Monday through Sunday person.
Right.
Yeah,
dude, I'm known for sweating. For those that don't know, like when I used to hoop, I would wear 3 fucking shirts.
It's true.
I'm fucking sweating right now.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts from you?
No, I mean I'm thrilled we did this.
Yeah, dude.
You know, thank you for the responses from everybody. Thank you for being able to comment, message.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for me, you know, pastorally, like I'm rooting for you. I'll be praying for you.
Likewise.
And we're journeying. Like we're all journeying. So you don't got to get it perfect. God is with us.
Right.
You got community.
Right.
We're in this.
Yo, DM either of us. DM the trauma account if you guys have any questions or want to engage with us even after this. No, I'm super fucking glad we did this. Wait, what did you just say before when you were closing? Holy shit, brain fart.
I don't know, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Fuck. It was going to be a cool sign-off thing, and I was like, we got to think about it. Maybe not. In any case, guys, I do hope you guys were able to find some value from this.
Yeah.
If you've listened to 1 episode, we're grateful. If you listen to 10, we super fuck with you. If you're at episode 2 or 3, commit one way or the other. Come on, don't leave us. But in any case, seriously, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been really rewarding.
Yeah.
At some point, we are going to show the faces of our producers. And don't try to snake them either, because I got some ideas in my head. Anyways, all right. Hope you enjoy the sun, everybody. Later.